hardest class, I taught English, the hardest class to teach was the one right after lunch. Not for any particular reason, but there was a lot of competition. Kids go out, they have a good time with their friends, maybe had a good lunch, maybe mine when I was a kid. When there was leftover Italian sandwich, and that thing was in your lunchbox the next day, that was a good lunch. And after they had fun in the cafeteria for a half hour, they came to me. And there I was standing there, walking them back to the classroom and said, hey, who's interested in talking about some British poetry right now? And the room fell as silent as it had when I just told that joke before. Probably worse. I would stand up there and I said, hey, look, I know you just had a great time, lunch, but let's talk about some William Wordsworth poems. I wander lonely as a cloud amongst a host of golden daffodils, and the room would fall silent and look like a picture staring back at me. I would do headstands, cartwheels, anything I could to pull them back in. So that's the spot I have right now. You had your intermission, you checked your phones, you caught up with some friends, and here you are listening to me. So let's cut right to the chase, change in progress. I'd be willing to bet that everybody in this room has something that they want. A goal, if you will. And I'd be willing to bet even further that there's probably about a dozen reasons in your head right now why you can't do that. The word can't. And yeah, you can call those excuses, right? You know, I want to save up to buy a car. I want to get into a good college. Maybe for my adults out there, I want to renovate the home, save for retirement, take the family on a nice vacation. The game on Friday, I can't study. Too many AP classes, I can't keep track. I got expenses now I can't kick out to the 401k. People call those excuses. But excuses are founded in one place. And I'm echoing comments now that I've heard this afternoon from some of the student presenters. And that one place is doubt. Doubt and negative mindset stand in the way of changing progress. Defeating yourself in your mind means that you fail almost immediately. Because after all, what's the point in trying? Now, I look back at the wayward path that I've taken over the years. The last 30 years, the last 20 years working in education. And believe me, when I was a kid, sitting at a cafeteria 30 years ago when I was 17 years old, if you told me that one day I would be standing up here talking about a career in education, I would have laughed you off the stage. I would be looking around for the punchline because school was a place that you would not find me if I did not have to be here. And school was great. I had a lot of friends. I had some fun. And all of my friends seemed like they had a path. When I looked to my left and my right, they were going places. They were doing things. Their parents were college graduates. They understood the system. They had a path. They were going to go to college, get an internship, great job, become millionaires. Easy. But not me. School was not a place where I found much success. And by the time I got to high school, it was one failed test after another after another. And let me tell you something, folks. Failing is the easiest thing I've done in my entire life. Because after all, once I had the wrong mindset, failing was easy. I failed a math test. Well, I'm not good at math. I got a poor grade on an essay. Well, I guess I'm not William Shakespeare. Chemistry lab, same thing. I'm not Bill Nye, the science guy. Right? It just came down to that. Well, I'm not good, so it's okay to fail. So that same senior year, after I normed all the negatives, and believe me, my teacher sat me down and told me every day, listen, you're not college material, it's not going to happen. All bets were off back in the 90s, right? We don't condone that anymore, but that's how things were back in the day. Senior year, when everybody else was following that path, applying to colleges, they all seemed like that. A plan, I didn't. So I decided, you know what? Since I'm not smart enough to go to college, since that's too hard for me, I think I'm going to find something easier to do. I'm going to join the Marine Corps. Now, it seems ironic, right? 30 years later, and my young adulthood thinking like, you know what, joining the Marines is going to be easier than college, right? It almost seems crazy now to think that. It was the first of many oversights of my young adulthood, and most certainly would have been the last. So it was an interesting experience all to itself. When you join the Marines, you head down to Paris Island, South Carolina, on this bus. And the bus always pulls in at 2 o'clock in the morning. Why? I don't know. But it's one of the scariest places I've ever seen. The bus was utterly silent, with young men all sitting there ready to go. And I remember a vision of doubt, looking to my left and my right, looking at these men, boys, girls 17 and 18, thinking, I don't belong here. Look at that guy, he's faster than me. That guy's stronger than I am. Paris Island graduates some of the most elite, professional fighting men the world has ever seen. I don't belong here. And when I got off that bus, the next 3 days they kept us awake 72 hours. Issuing you uniforms you know how to wear, and gear you know how to put together, a rifle you can't carry, taking tests and getting shots in your arm. And after the third day, we met the man that changed our lives. We met the man that changed our mindset for the first time. It was simple enough. You walked in front of this guy, Senior Drill Instructor Staff Sergeant Williams, quite possibly the scariest man I've ever met. Next to my father, of course. He's not with us. And you stand in front of this man and you have to say your name, where you're from in the world, clear the weapon, hand it to him, he inspects it, hands it back to you. And if he's okay with what he sees, he's going to accept you for training for the next 3 months, and he's going to be your senior drill instructor. Well, guess what? He's not going to like what he sees because you don't know how to wear the uniform. My cartridge belt was on backwards. I didn't know how to hold a rifle. So I stand in front of this man and I say, "Good morning, sir. Recruit Robinson, Trenton, New Jersey, sir." He stopped. He looks me up and down, smoky, bare cover looking at me, raspy voice. He looked at me with utter disdain, as if I was the worst recruit he had seen in the entire 230 years of the United States Marine Corps history. Fair. And he said, oh my, another one from up north. Got your cartridge belt on backwards, canteens are upside down. It's going to be a long 3 months down here, isn't it? And I said, aye, aye, sir, and I got in formation with everybody else. And then later that night, our first night on Paris Island, you're trying to sleep. You want to sleep now. You've been up for 3 days. Listen to this guy. And after he did Marine Corps things, ran us around, climbing ropes, rolling through the mud, he sat us down. We all sat on the floor over here at the edge of the bunk, and Eric called the quarterdeck. And every night, regardless of how he treated us all day, he took his cover off. He stood at the podium, and he talked just like human beings for about 40 minutes. And that first speech the man gave us changed my mindset. He would talk about things like, Marine Corps history, customs and courtesies, how to act as a gentleman, so on and so forth. But that first night, he took his cover off, he stood there at the podium, and he said, now I know, gents, all of you are thinking about making a break for it right now. Not one of you wants to be here anymore. And let me tell you something, man, could not have been more right. I was looking to make a break for it. But he said, listen, if you run for the gate, the MPs will get you.